All right, we're going to do a follow-up on the Taranov swarm. See how things are going in the swarm. We gave them a couple frames of drawn comb, and we also gave them I think about 4 frames of foundation. So in this 8 frame deep, I think they had half foundation and half drawn comb. So let's see how things are going with them after, oh, it's roughly a week, I think. If I can get the lid off, this would be like a 1-week follow-up. So I've roughly got about 6 frames of bees up here. I've got about 6 frames of bees here. This outside frame doesn't look like they've touched it much yet. Well, yeah, they started drawing. So they're drawing and putting nectar in it. I haven't fed them since like the first day or 2, I think, if I recall. So most of this is probably fresh nectar. There's a good honey flow going right now. But you can see the bees are working the comb. Not much on this side yet. I'll probably end up flipping the comb here. So the next frame looks like it's a lot of bees on it, and they're doing a lot of drawing on the back side here. I suspect the inside is probably fully drawn, or if not close. Yep, so this is drawn out pretty good right now. There's no eggs. Also, if you notice, the wax is a little brown. They probably are stealing wax from another frame or something. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but there is a lot of pollen. They're stuffing pollen in there. So this is frame number 2, and they're working the backside here. Okay. So that's frame number 2. All right, next frame. Next frame is full of larvae all the way around, except for a small pollen ring on this side. And the same thing on this side. Just giving a quick look for the queen, but there's a, I'll show you here in a second. The little sucker's already got a swarm cup. Anyway, I don't think you're going to be able to see it on the camera. But there's larvae on both sides, pretty much identical on both sides. So there's a little honey right here at the top, a ring of pollen, and then larvae. This is actually, in a few days, probably 3 or 4 days, is going to be a really fantastic frame of brood. And when I find the queen, I'm probably going to give her a mark. I know she's marked, but I think her mark is a little faded. So I might give her a touch up. So 3rd frame in is all brood. The next frame is the 4th frame. And this is pretty much eggs and larvae all the way across. It's a newer frame. Yep. Eggs and larvae everywhere on this frame. Let me get you a close-up. Maybe you can see the eggs in here. I don't know for sure if you can see it or not. Let me get on the other side of the camera. See if it'll show up in there. But there's some wet brood and eggs on both sides. This is a really nice frame. That's two really good frames with wet brood on both sides, all the way across. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is what you want to see after a swarm. You want to see the queen get right to laying. She's probably back to her original size as a laying queen. Next frame is, yes, a bunch of eggs. And there's my queen down here at the bottom. I will show her to you. She's right there at the bottom of the frame. At the bottom. She's walking right along the bottom there, if you could see. So anyway, she looks good. Yeah, she's sized up pretty good. Look, this is all very large larvae about to be capped right there. So that's 3 frames of brood. I don't think I'm going to mess with her right now. But before I go putting this back, I am going to make sure that she's in here and safe. Yep. So we'll just set her back in there really gently. So that's 3 frames of brood right now. In about a week or two, probably about 2 weeks, we'll have to think about adding another box. Boy, is this frame really drawn out. Looks like when they moved in, they put all their honey right here in this frame. Yeah, there's pollen and honey on this frame, and they're actually capping it, starting to cap the honey on this. If you look at the top here, this is starting to get capped, and there's pollen. This is actually a really nice frame of resources. So we have 3 frames of brood right now. Looks like that's where we're at with, yeah, so here's another nectar frame. Both sides. The other one had nectar and pollen. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to check this next frame and see where we're at on this one. Okay, so they're drawing this one out. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to move this into the middle of the brood nest, okay? And all we're going to do is make this the outside frame. All right, so as I was saying, I'm taking this outside frame that they're just beginning to draw, and I'm going to move it into the middle of the brood nest. I want the queen to lay in this frame, and I want them to draw it out. And they're definitely going to start drawing it out as soon as I put an undrawn frame in the middle of a couple of brood frames. So we'll get that stuck in there now. And I suspect if I come back in a week, that'll be all laid up. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip this around. So anyway, that's our inspection. We got 3 nice frames of brood. Colony looks really good, looks very healthy. The queen looks great. I'm not going to bother marking her right now. I'm going to leave them be and call it a success for right now. And I'm probably not going to feed them, as it looks like they're bringing nectar in, and there's plenty of pollen and nectar in there. So anyway, that's this follow-up from the Taranov swarm. They look like they're doing really well. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing out of them, and now it's time to go get into a few other colonies for a few other reasons. Have a good one.